Please go ahead.
Okay. So,
Yes,
hello
please.
everyone. Firstly, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, based on which part of the world you are joining us today. Welcome to the SciROI Global's last webinar in this year, which is focused on India Global Bilateral Programs and Collaborative Funding Landscape. We welcome and wholeheartedly thank our speakers and panelists for accepting our invitation to join us today, and also welcome all our participants for attending this webinar. I'm Amrita. I'm working as a postdoc at IST Austria, and I'm currently an active volunteer of SciROI and also a member of SciROI Global's 2025 leadership team. Through this webinar, we will explore global research networks in STEM fields and learn from the leading experts about collaborative funding opportunities and international cooperation between India and different countries in the world. We will also try to gain insights about current funding landscape and its future in India, and in the end, engage in a meaningful discussion with our panelists in the follow-up Q&A session. I'm accompanied by two other SciROI volunteers, and I request them to kindly introduce themselves.
Thank you, Amrita. Hi, this is Paramita. I am a postdoc at NIH, Bethesda, USA.
Thank you, Amrita. Hello, everyone. I'm Chandani. I'm a scientist working at RISE in Sweden. And along with Amrita and Paramita, I will be moderating today's session. As many of you already know, SciROI is a volunteer-driven non-profit organization founded in 2015 by Professor Asim Ansari in collaboration with WinStep Forward. Professor Ansari is also the founder and director of the prestigious Khurana and SN Bose programs, and currently serves as a faculty and chair of chemical biology and therapeutics department at St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. SciROI was established with a clear mission to create awareness and support the smooth transition of Indian STEM diaspora back to India. Over the years, SciROI has built a strong platform to promote multi-level collaboration among individuals, institutions, and agencies in India and abroad. We facilitate pathways for pursuing STEM careers in India through our annual events, recruitment drives, focused webinars, blogs, and newsletter that highlights the diversity of opportunity available. To learn more, we have compiled a short video about our past activities. Please have a glimpse of the video and enjoy it. Can you? Hope you enjoyed the short video. As you see, the past glimpse of the past events that has been done. And as mentioned earlier, SciROI is a volunteer-driven organization. Last year, we had 21 members in the leadership team working and coordinating SciROI events, activities across the globe. And this year, we had 20 new volunteers joined the team from different parts of worlds. We would soon open call for new volunteers in 2026, so stay tuned and follow SciROI on social media platforms for further info on volunteer calls.
Okay, so before we move further to today's talk, I request the participants to maintain the following etiquettes for the webinar. Please keep yourself muted throughout the webinar. Please post your questions with your brief introduction in the Zoom chat, and we will try to accommodate as many questions as possible. Finally, please try to keep your video on for better interaction. With this, I would like to introduce our panelists. We had 3 speakers for the webinar, but unfortunately, Dr. Jayashree Bhatt could not join us as she was traveling and got stranded midway due to unexpected cancellation of flights in India. We sincerely apologize for this last-minute change and hope Dr. Jayashree reaches back home safely. So we have now 2 esteemed speakers today, and we would hear first from Dr. Samrat and then from Dr. Varshini. After their individual talks, we would open the floor for a combined panel discussion and Q&A session with the speakers. Our first speaker today is Dr. Samrat S. Kumar. He's currently working as the country coordinator for Euraxis India. His areas of expertise are EU-India cooperation in research and innovation, higher education partnerships and research diplomacy, and international researcher mobility and career development. He has over 17 years of experience in international research education projects and academic collaboration. As part of the Euraxis Worldwide, he is currently deeply involved in the global researcher mobility programs for the European Commission. We really look forward to your talk. The screen is yours, Dr. Samrat. I will stop sharing the screen now so that you can share your presentation.
Thank you so much, Amrita, and a very good evening to all of you who are joining us here from India. And then I think we also have some participants from other parts of the world, from the US. So then probably it's a good morning for you guys. Yeah, thank you so much for the kind introduction. I'm just trying to open my slides immediately. Could you just confirm they're visible?
Yes, they're visible.
Yeah. Okay, let me just close my screen, make that smaller. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is now to give you like a brief overview about what the EU programs are in research and innovation, what funding opportunities are available. I know that this is about, of course, researchers from India who are living abroad, looking at opportunities to connect back to India. But there is also possibility through Europe to create that network and that connection. So in the next maybe 10, 15 minutes, I will walk you through Horizon Europe, which is the largest research innovation program in the world. If you look at the budget, you understand the magnitude of this program. It has 95.5 billion euros for a period of 7 years. We are now entering almost, let's say, that the last third of the program. Every year, the work program launches hundreds of calls, which are open for international collaboration, for fellowships for individual researchers, but also for institutional partnerships. Now, Horizon Europe has basically 3 pillars. It's structured in a way that the pillar 1 focuses on excellent science, which is individual fellowship opportunities under the Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions, the ERC, the European Research Council. And then we have pillar 2, which is about tackling global challenges. Here we have 6 clusters. Under each clusters, there are a lot of calls which are encouraging international collaboration, international participation. There's a last pillar, which is on innovation. At the moment, it's very Eurocentric, means it's more tailored towards European startups and SMEs, deep tech, but it's also probably in the next framework program, which is now being prepared, it will probably also have strong international component dimension. Now let's look at pillar 1. So if you see the academic stairs, you can see that on each level, on each academic position, there is a matchmaking grant fellowship program. I'm sure you have heard about Erasmus. We have the Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions, which I will explain. These are PhD postdoctoral opportunities. And then the further you go up on your academic scientific career ladder, you will see that there are grants which are available. We have here the European Research Council grants, which are world-class funding opportunities for researchers across the world. Now let's dive into the Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions, or we call it Marie Curie. It's a bit easier for us, it's a bit of a tongue breaker to always name the entire program Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions. So let's call it Marie Curie. So the Marie Curie has 5 different programs. As already mentioned, we have the doctoral programs, we have the postdoctoral fellowship, we have something called staff exchanges, which already implies there is a mobility of academic and non-academic staff between institutions, between European partners and international partners within a consortium. We have a co-fund program, which basically tops up already existing funding, national funding of the member states, and the MSCA tops up with a certain amount. These are also, again, for doctoral and postdoctoral training programs. And then we have a kind of science diplomacy public outreach program, which is called MSCA and Citizens. So if you see the color coding, you will understand that the ones in blue are like mono-beneficiary actions, and the ones which are like purple are like multi-beneficiary actions. Now, let's go into the doctoral networks. So how does the process work? So you need to be part of a consortium, and the consortium needs to have European partners, but can have on top of that international partners from India, let's say, and you develop a proposal for a PhD training program based on your research background, based on the the priorities of the consortium. So you develop a design, a program, and you submit that to the European Commission. If you are selected, you will get you sign a grant agreement. You can then basically start recruiting PhD candidates across the world, based on the needs of the project. And those PhD positions are then publicly, published on the websites of the MSc, the European Commission, and other European Commission websites. And then the candidate applies to the project, to the consortium, and then there's a selection recruitment process, and basically, he or she is awarded then a PhD position, which is then entitled to have a monthly salary and other kind of allowances to it, and that's quite a handsome package, between 3,000 to 4,000 euros a month on salary for a PhD position under the Marie Curie doctoral networks. Yeah, as I said, all the positions are published at the Euraxis portal. I will talk about Euraxis in a bit, which is the project I'm leading. You apply as a candidate directly to the institution or the project website. There will be a call for recruitment, and you can apply. Often those projects have multiple PhD positions, between 5 to 20 within one project. So there's a fair chance for you, to apply and maybe be part of the ones who get selected. As I said, monthly salary, mobility allowances, research training costs. There's no limits to age or nationality. The criteria is, of course, you should not hold a PhD degree at the time of application. There's another important rule which you need to know, is that you should not have lived, worked, or studied in the country of the future host institute for more than 12 months during the last 3 years prior to the deadline. So let's say you did your master's in Germany and you're applying to a MSc doctoral program in Germany, and you just finished last year, that, for instance, you cannot apply to that program in Germany. However, you can apply to another MSc program in another European country where you have not been more than 12 months during the last 3 years. The next program which I want to introduce is the postdoctoral fellowship. I assume you've heard of it. This is one of the best postdoctoral fellowships in the world. It has 3 types. We are looking at the first and the second. The first one is the one where researchers across the world can apply to a European institution with a European supervisor under the MSCA and get funding from there, and be hosted at the European institution with a European supervisor or multiple supervisors, and can then receive the funding directly from the Marie Curie. The other one is the Global Postdoc Fellowship. That's for if you are, for instance, you're a researcher in Europe and you want to, for instance, do parts of your research in India, you can apply with your home institution in Europe to that institution in India as being the one who will host you for a period of 2 years. And there's a return phase. Basically, you have to then come back to your European institution after completing the 2 years in India. The third one is something called ERA. This is for that's another category of MSCA postdoctoral fellowship, but you can reread it up. It's not so important at the moment. Again, the mobility rule applies the same as for the PhD, not more than 3 years prior to deadline. Not more than 12 months during the last 3 years, lived or studied or worked in the country of the future host institute. Research from any nationality, no age limit can apply. There is one rule which says that you should not have more than 8 years of full-time research experience after the PhD. If you have already more than 8 years after completing your PhD, done research, worked in an institution, and done full-time research, you're not eligible. postdoc as the global one, which means like as an European researcher or long-term EU residents, you can apply to go to a country of your choice outside of the EU, which could be India, for instance. You could have an Indian host institution. Now the thing is that for the Indian host institution, there are no costs incurred. Everything is covered, the salary, the travel, everything is covered by the European Commission's fellowship. Now, you can choose your host institution based on your, of course, research background, your research sector. It can be in the academic, or it can also be a non-academic industrial host institution with a supervisor there. You can choose any of the 27 EU member states and countries which are associated to the Horizon Europe program. Now, those countries are not only in Europe, they are also on the periphery geographically. You can see we at the moment have 23 countries which are associated to the program. For instance, we have countries like Norway, Switzerland, which are not part of the EU. We have Israel. We have the UK, which is part of the program again. We have Turkey, we have Tunisia. Now, we also have recently Canada and the Republic of South Korea who joined the program. But however, they are only part of Pillar 2, not of Pillar 1 of like where MSc and ERC are. So you cannot choose for the postdoctoral or the doctoral fellowship. You cannot choose Korea or Canada as a host institution, a country. Okay. Yeah. Another program which is very interesting if you're already working in institutions either in India or abroad, you can join with other European partners and international partners a consortium to apply for a staff exchange grant, which means that it's about these are like mini RNI projects where secondments are possible. It's more about knowledge of transfer between the participating organization, and it includes a strong focus on academic and non-academic collaboration. And it can be across the globe. This can be multilateral consortia, which include not only Indian, European, but can also have partners from other Asian countries or another Latin American or North American. So this can be a global project. And here, if you are, for instance, affiliated with CSIR, there's a co-funding agreement between the Marie Curie staff exchanges and CSIR. Here, CSIR staff will be funded if they are successful with their European partners to get a project granted. Then CSR staff is eligible to get funding from the CSR to travel to Europe and participate in workshops, in meetings, and be seconded to the European partners. Okay. Now these are the timetable of the 2026 calls. You can see they're still tentative because the work program for 26 is still is not launched yet. It will happen in hopefully by mid-December. Then we will have the exact dates, but they're all coming up in the first, second quarter of next year. The other program which might be of interest is if you already are established in your field is to apply for the European Research Council grants. These are long-term grants which are like several million euros for building up your research team, your research lab, and your dream project. You can see we have here 5 different kind of grant schemes. We have the starting grants that basically is for researchers who have completed their PhD 2 and 7 years after completing their PhD. We have the consolidated grants, which are 7 to 12 years after, and then we have the advanced grants. And we have also another scheme which is called synergy grants. Here, 2 to 4 PIs can apply and get up to 10 million euros for 6 years. And one of the PIs can be outside the EU or Horizon Europe countries. So that's a possibility for an Indian researcher, for instance, to participate as well. But Indian researchers can apply to all of the grants. Yeah. Now, what's in there? It's open to researchers across the world. It's about really frontier research, advanced research. It's about high risk, high gain research. It's also blue sky research is there. There is no priority given. It's also same goes for the MSc postdoctoral. These are like really bottom up approaches. It's about your research idea, your work. If you think you have an excellent idea, you should apply. Good is that you will get an extra 2 million euros. If you're moving to Europe with the grant, if you are successful, you will get 2 million euros extra. It's called like a startup funding. You can keep the affiliation with your home institute. Means like, let's say you're based at the Indian institution, you can keep your affiliation. The only thing is that significant part of the work has to be conducted in Europe, at least 50%, but that can be, spread out over the project duration. As a team, you can join the ERC project as a team member. You can be based in India and still participate and travel to Europe, for meetings, workshops. And if you are in Europe, you can move with that grant to any other European institution. Now, in concrete, for Indian researchers, we have, excellent track record. You can see that more than 80 Indian nationals have been awarded the ERC funding over the last, 10, 15 years. You can recruit other team members. You can be, based in India, as I said, and be part of the team. You can see the positions which are available for joining a ERC team. They're published on the Euraxis portal. There are also international agreements between the European Commission and countries like India, where certain scientists can join the ERC teams temporarily. Here we have, for instance, the SERP, which is now been submerged into the ANRF, and the ICSSR, which allows grantees from those institutions, organizations to join a ERC team in Europe. And those expression of interest to join those teams are published annually by the ERC and then forwarded to those institutions. So if you are a SERP/ANRF grantee or ICSR grantee, you should look up and see with the coordinators if there are this expression of interest are there. As I said, annually, PIs from ERC projects publish those interests to invite researchers to come and temporarily between 2 to 1 year to join their team. These are again the call calendars. You see, most of the calls are basically already, closing, but they will open their annual calls. So you will have the opportunity to look and apply for them, both for the MSc and the ERC. These are all annual calls. Now, very briefly, also about Horizon Europe Pillar 2. This is about, mission-driven, impact-oriented research. It's about the EU's Green Deal. It's about the SDGs. It's encouraging cross-disciplinary research to solve major societal technological challenges. As I already said in the beginning, we have 6 clusters, and it's opened to consortia consisting of universities, research institutions, SMEs, industrial partners, and public bodies. It meets at least 3 organizations from different EU member states, but in addition, entities from other countries can join. I will tell you now how this will work. From the European side, it can be any legal entity. From the Indian side, it can be a central state government-supported, recognized institution. It can be a national state-funded R&D lab. It can be also Indian industry, can also participate. Now the thing is that compared to Pillar 1, where the individual researcher receives the funding directly, in Pillar 2, there are only certain countries which are funded, which are low and middle income countries. India is not eligible for funding under Horizon Europe, means Indian participants have to bring in their own funding unless there are certain co-funding agreements in place. And here we have Dr. Varshney, who has been instrumental in the past for those kind of co-funding agreements between DST and the European Commission. He will maybe talk a bit more about how his experience, how that collaboration has worked. So Indian ministries like Indian government bodies like DST, DBT, the MOS, CSIR have the possibility, are invited every year to co-fund certain calls under the Horizon Europe program, where Indian participants, if they are successful with their European partners, they would get the funding then from the Indian side. This is one way. There are exceptional fundings available for Indian institutions if the consortium, the project can justify why the participation is essential of an Indian institution in that project, or if the call text specifically mentions that India is eligible for funding. These are the 3 ways where Indian institutions can receive funding. Other than that, they have to bring in their own funding. This is also something, I guess, of interest, the thematic areas of EU-India co-funded calls, which have been in the past and right now. It's on health, digital technologies, climate change, environment, clean energy, agriculture, and food. So we are now in the preparation of the next work program, 26-27. And here again, there will be discussions with DBT, DST, MOS to see which of the calls would be of mutual interest, which are India's priorities, where India would like to co-fund. So we will hopefully have a new round of co-funded calls coming up early next year. Yeah. So this is possible areas where we would see co-funding next year is in health, ICT, bioeconomy, climate change, polar research, and under the newly established EU-India Trade and Technology Council working group 2. Here we have coordinated calls where both the European Commission and the Indian government are ready to co-fund. We had calls on marine pollution and green hydrogen this year. We're expecting 2 calls maybe next year. On battery, for sure, 26 is on battery recycling. And let's see on wastewater treatment, that's also discussions are going on, that this will also be very well-funded, coordinated calls where both India and the European Commission will equally fund their researchers, their institutions. Now, all this, what I have told you, is easily to be accessed through the Euractis platform. This is an initiative founded by the European Commission and funded by the European Commission to support and strengthen international collaboration between Europe and the world. So we are basically a global team of officers, based in different parts of the world, which help, researchers to connect from our countries like India with European partners to help them to navigate through the Horizon Europe, the EU funding programs. And we have a job and funding portal where all the European Union's funded positions are available, but also the national funding opportunities from the different member states, they also are available in the Euractis portal. This is our team. You can see we're dedicated officers, in the Americas, in North America, in Africa, Korea, India, and China is here for Asia. We have also Japan, of course, and ASEAN. And we have also a representative in Australia and New Zealand. So these officers can also help you to connect with the counterparts in their country. So we can help you to connect with researchers, in Latin America, in ASEAN, in Japan, if you like. And it's a global network of researchers. It's one of the largest network, I would say. And it's also a network which is very active in international collaboration, but also very successful in receiving funding. So this is a good network of researchers and to tap into. Yeah, since more than 20 years, we're offering a vast portfolio of support to researchers across the world. It's not only to find funding programs to apply to fellowships, but also to help researchers when they come to Europe to settle in with different kind of support which we give. And we, of course, organize workshop and trainings. We have more than 600 service centers across Europe for international researchers in more than 43 countries. So it's a very huge portal and network. And you can see that annually there are more than 60,000 job vacancies published for positions in Europe. We have more than 1 lakh registered users, so it makes us one of the largest, platform of scientists. And there are thousands of funding and fellowship opportunities every month available on the Euractis portal. So if you are interested to know more about what we do, please visit our website and sign up for our newsletter, our monthly, our weekly flash notes, where we also give you information about the latest R&I updates in Europe, but also EU-India collaboration, and we organize workshop trainings and webinars on how to win a MSCA grant, how to win a ERC grant, how we do networking and brokerage events for the co-funding calls. So there's a lot happening on EU-India R&I collaboration on Euractis. So please, if you are interested, sign up. This is our website. Membership is for free. It takes less than 2 minutes to create your own profile and sign up. And yeah, this is our social media handles. And I hope I didn't take too much of your time. Sorry if I, a bit, stretch the presentation, but I just thought it's important to see how big this EU program is and how important India is in international collaboration for Europe. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar, for such an insightful talk. And now I think we get the gist of how big is this collaboration, and we are more aware of Horizon Europe program I think people, when we were in India, we were not aware of these kind of programs, but now we know more about it. Thanks a lot. Now, with this, I would like to move to our next speaker. I would like to introduce our next speaker, Professor Sanjeev K. Varshney. He is former advisor and head of international scientific cooperation at DST, Government of India. His areas of expertise are international S&T cooperation and science diplomacy, bilateral, multilateral, and regional research partnership, science policy, innovation funding mechanism, and S&T administration. Professor Varshney has over 30 years of leadership experience at DST, where he was instrumental in shaping India's global scientific partnership. He was the Indian co-chair for Indo-German Science and Technology Center. He has had leadership roles in governing councils of various national S&T bodies. He is also a recipient of prestigious Dr. D.N. Wadia Research Fellowship. He continues to serve post-retirement as science facilitator, advisor, and members of various academic and research councils. We look forward to your talk, sir. Now the screen is open for you, Professor Varshney. Can you yeah, we can see your screen.
So thank you very much. I hope you could see my screen. And I would like to thank Samrat for creating awareness about various programs for the Europe. I'm sorry, in fact, I had an impression that I need to speak only about the individual grants, so I didn't discuss about projects and other things in my presentation. But if required, we could discuss on those aspects also. So here, what I thought I could discuss today is what are the fellowships which are available to Indian researchers besides the one they are getting in their respective institution as either net qualified, gate qualified, or some other institutional grants. So we could discuss some additional fellowships, full-time PhD support abroad, that includes Europe. So and then what are the career opportunity for overseas PDF in India's and career opportunity for resident Indian and some of the other opportunities we could discuss. But before I discuss that, I thought that for any research plan which our community, our researchers are preparing, it is important that how your application would be evaluated. So you need to keep certain things in mind. First is research plan. Now, research plan is something very wonderful, and one of the common mistakes our students make, they write same research plan to 10 professors, and obviously they get rejected. It is important that you should know what idea you would like to pursue, but it is also important to know who is going to be your possible host and what are his or her strength. And based on that, you need to reorient your idea and make plan more and more objective and purposeful. Obviously, how you're going to implement it, that is something very important. And then these days, various agencies are looking beyond academic research, and they are looking if your research could contribute to one of the causes, one of the purposes, or one of the interests, either for society or for industry. If that could make it, that would be wonderful. Another important thing is reference letters. Since mark sheets are not true reflection of your potential, letters by the mentor help, and that gives what are your strengths, what are the areas you need to be more working on, and how you would like to implement your dream. So a balanced letter is always good. Sometimes it so happens that we get only a rosy picture. Such reference letters are not welcome, so that we need to take into consideration. And then publication record of individual researcher is very important. So I hope all of you are publishing whatever stage of research you are in, and either as first author or as corresponding author or as one of the authors, because people are looking at your continuity. People are looking at the level at which you are publishing. Like, are you publishing in good a highly indexed journal? Are you publishing in lowly indexed journal or non-indexed journal? Unfortunately, a lot of Indian researchers are compromising on this, and they are publishing in journals which are not so respected. So please look at it and please publish in journals which are quite highly respected. And then, of course, all things being equal, your academic record is also taken into consideration. Now, let us just go. What are the opportunities available to doctoral students? So some of them, our friend has already discussed, Samrat, but there are short-term PhD exposure, uh, overseas exposure, which are available to Indian students. These are primarily available for second year and third year students. Idea is the fellow knows what kind of work he or she needs to do. And also, the fellow is not getting drifted away from the main PhD topic. We are not preferring first year candidate because first year candidate is more into formulation of the research goals and also doing some tutorials, whereas fourth year and fifth year students are looking more for submissions. So here I have just picked some selective pictures. Max Planck Institute, UCFI through Fulbright House, Newton from UK, Raman Chapak from UK. They are offering 3 to 6 month exposure to our students in their laboratory. And the simple principle is you need to contact a host scientist in that particular country and reach a mutually agreed research project plan, and then you can do it. Indo-German Science and Technology Center is also providing up to 6 month exposure to Indian students in Germany. Several companies like Google is just one example. They are also supporting your PhD projects. Now, friends, one thing I would like to say, sometime in my picture, you will see some dates. Please don't worry for the dates because these programs are annual in character and they will keep coming. Now, if you would like to do a full-time PhD, that is also possible. So several institutions like Clara Collett Awards from University College London, Italy's University of Venice, Thailand, Chulalongkorn University, I've just offered this Eiffel Exchange program from France, which is right now open, and you could try if you are interested. And then PhD in Sun, Geneva, that is also possible. And then there are some early career fellowship program from United Nations universities, more focused on climate research. And then there are number of bilateral and multilateral research program. So these are opportunities for our students to do PhD from full-time PhD to our students abroad. And then there are opportunity to interact with peers, where people from several countries would come and make their presentation. So one of them is BRICS Young Scientists Meeting. As you know, BRICS is now a 10-member country, 10-member organization, and each country would put 20 to 30 researchers on identified themes. Themes are decided by the presidency. India is going to hold a BRICS presidency next year. So a lot of suggestions would come from India, how we would like to drive it. And then there is a Lindau meeting where nearly 40 countries participate. This is cyclic in order, physics, chemistry, and biology. And we are targeting master and early researchers for this thing. 40 countries are participating. Each country sends 30 to 40 researchers for these interactions. And on that same line, we are having a meeting in Japan, which is called Hope Meeting. And here again, we are sending 20 to 30 students. Then within India, our researchers should know that there is a program run by three science academy, and these academy encourages our students, especially from the smaller institutions, to go and work in premier institutions where a lot of research facilities are available. So several times when our researchers get struck for want of equipment or certain facility, they could make use of this summer academy fellowships. Then there is Frontier of Science and Engineering. It's a unique concept where we are bringing in young achievers and trying to encourage multidisciplinary approach to a given questions. So you will get like frontier of science, you will have biologists, you will have chemists, physicists, mathematicians, geologists, and they will be discussing topics of mutual interest. Now, one of the thing is that our researcher would like to make presentation of their research. I'm sorry for the old logo of NRF. I should have changed. It's still old logo. So there are several agencies in this country which are providing support, but this support is not total. Support is partial. Normally, agencies are providing support in terms of international fare and registration fee to the students. Sometimes it is good enough because registration may take care of your food and accommodation. Sometimes you may require some additional support, and of course, you need some incidental. So since these are standalone, these are having some restrictions like once in 3 years. Also, there is a restriction that, not restriction, if I could say the order of preference, they do not support passive participation. They support if you have got some role in the international seminar. For example, the least preferred is you should have a poster presentation. Oral presentation is preferred over that. And if you have been invited to deliver a talk, or if you have been presiding, you are presiding, you're chairing a session, that is also preferred. Of course, you have to look for agencies which is close to you in terms of the subjects, and then accordingly you could go. For example, if you are working in humanities, you have got option of UGC and ICSSR. If you are working in biotechnology, you need to go to DBT, ICMR, agriculture, or DST. So you need to see which is more relevant to your subject. Then there are a lot of overseas fellowships. Some of them, Erasmus, Marie Curie, Samrat has already talked about. But one of the most prestigious from European fellowship is Humboldt from Germany. Quite prestigious Newton Fellowship comes from UK, and Fulbright comes from US. So these are also very, very prestigious, very competitive. But if you could get any one of them, you can add it in your biodata and people know what are your research credentials, that fellowship. And then there are many more. Now, question is how to identify and approach potential collaborators if you are looking for postdoctoral research. So, of course, you should know what is your own idea, and then study about the host group, and then make a connections. Look for various kind of collaborative approaches, whether they are looking for short-term engagement, long-term engagements, whether you would like to go only as a learner, or whether you would like to contribute both ways. So you need to negotiate those terms and then reach a understanding. Obviously, when you are approaching, your conversation should be personal. Don't make a generalized conversation which you are sending to 10 fellows. No. Each time when you are making a conversation, you should know whom you are talking to, what are the strength of that group, and accordingly, you should be writing. So always be pleasant, be genuine. You need to do a lot of follow-up, and if the fellow has given you some advice, you have to follow. Of course, you are welcome to have any number of questions, but your question should be logical and to the goal for which you are looking for. Now, coming to postdoctoral fellowship within India, one of the most popular postdoctoral fellowship is NPDF by ANRF. And this is given to candidate up to 42 years of age. This is now relaxed 42 years, and it comes with 80,000 rupees plus your research grants. But NPDF by ANRF is not alone. There are so many awards which are open by the various national agencies, including DST, which run Vice Kiran for Women, Inspire Faculty Award separately. DBT runs Research Associateship and M.K. Bhan Fellowship. CSIR run Research Associate Program. Several agencies like ICMR, All India Council for Technical Education, Agriculture Research, Tribal Affairs, Rashtriya Uchchatar Shiksha Abhiyan, and ICSSR, they run PDF program. All IITs have got institutional PDF. UGC run Kothari Fellowship and Single Girl Child Fellowship. Space and Atomic Energy also provides. Now, there is a website which provides information about PDFs by all science ministry, which means by DST, DBT, atomic energy, space, CSIR, you will get information about it. But since fellowship come from education sector also, and some other agencies are also providing like ICSSR, so you need to look in a wider perspective. Now, when we are talking about postdoctoral fellowship abroad, again, thank you, Samrat, for discussing about Marie Curie and Erasmus. Uh, there are some other offers. Virtually all part of world is inviting for postdoctoral fellowship, and they are looking for Indians researchers who could qualify their assessment. So these fellowships are very competitive but very prestigious, and you could look for. For example, Japan, they are looking only those candidates who have not done any formal study in Japan, and they are providing all your expenses, and you can get this Matsuami fellowship. They are also providing a fellowship through MEXT, their Ministry of Education and Science, for which you need to approach the local embassy in our own country. Then there is opportunity for PDF in Spain, PDF in Saudi Arabia, and even our own centers are providing such opportunity in some dedicated science. And then there are gender-based opportunities which are available, like Indo-French Center, Indo-German Center. They are providing grant up to 6 month exposure to women researchers to join ongoing projects. SERB was providing power mobility grant. So those awardees of power grant could have gone to any part of the world. Schlumberger Foundation provides support to any female researchers who would like to do PhD from outside home country. Then there are so many other fellowships which are open to faculty and senior researchers. And these fellowships are from ICMR. Erasmus has already been discussed about. Then in France, Germany, and US. But there are several other agencies which are doing. And then there are programs like Human Frontier Science Program, European Molecular Biology Program, and even companies like IBM, they're running challenges. And some of the agencies like NIHR from UK, they are inviting global fellowships they're providing. And early career fellowship from Indo-German Center is just to connect young researchers between India and Germany. Then there are thematic initiative. For example, if you would like to work on polar research, so there is initiative called Arctic Research, where any aspect of polar research could be studied. Then there are postdoctoral research fellowship in theoretical research in Sun Geneva. And here you could look for your career in that way. Future fellowship by Australia is another example where you could look for those things. Now, within India, there are programs for early career researchers. Now, this is where I would like to ask young researchers, young PDF abroad, if they are looking to return to India. So this is one of the openings for you, and such programs are not done only by ANRF, but by several agencies, including DBT, ICMR, CSIR, Wellcome Trust, ICSSR, several other agencies. These are considered to be a kind of first independent research projects after your PDF in India. And those who do not qualify that test, they are eligible to apply for advanced research grant, which is in all this area of science, technology, and mathematics, and several areas like several organizations like DBT, Wellcome Trust, ICMR, CSIR, DRDO, Earth Sciences provide such grant. Obviously, these grants are quite competitive, and you need to be highly focused. Then government has a very special program for people coming from SC/ST background, and there is a separate competition for them also. So you could look for such grants. And those who want to try 5 year period and who are currently doing PDF abroad and would like to return, there are two fellowship, Ramanujam Fellowship and Ramalinga Swami Fellowship, and both of them are trying to attract young PDF planning to return to India to set up a career, and they are for 5 year period, so that you could establish yourself, prove your need in the host institutions. And then we are trying to attract best of the global Indian diaspora to connect, and very diverse fields we are doing it, and trying to invite them for a period of a month or two. They could come each year. So it's a 5-year contract which we are offering them. And then government has also started to program Spark and Gyan. Spark is primarily to connect Indian institution with top 500 QS rank institutions. And Gyan is a program to attract best of the global experts to come and deliver talks in India. So with this, I would like to close. And I have been regularly posting about various opportunities to Indian researchers on my social media pages. If you could join me on any of the platform you feel appropriate, that would be nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so thank you, Professor Vashni, for such an insightful talk. It was quite detailed and holistic in giving, the idea about diverse funding opportunities for early career researchers. And I really like the fact that, I appreciate how you not only emphasize the technical aspects, but also the soft skills that are required to be successful in getting these competitive fellowships. And yeah, thank you very much for your talk. To move on, for those who haven't subscribed yet, we encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay tuned for our future activities. And I now request Paramita, my co-moderator, to take over for question and answer session. Paramita, please. Paramita, I think you are muted.
Hello, everybody. Sorry for this disruption. So now we would like to start our panel discussion with question and answer. I would like to remind you again of the Zoom etiquettes. Please keep yourself muted throughout the chat. Please post your questions with your introduction in the Zoom chat. We will try to accommodate as many questions as possible in the Q&A session. And please keep your video on for better interaction.
Paramita, can you please also turn on your video?
I think I'm having some glitch over here.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. So we have some questions in the Q&A session. So let me go to the question of Manoj. So I can see he's asking about, does ANRF age limit is restrictive and no follow-up funding support?
Well, as I said, that there are some age restrictions for youngsters, and we need to redefine who are the youngsters. So there has to be some number, and we need to respect. And those who do not qualify for the youngster scheme, they should go for a regular scheme, which is not restrictive of any age. Of course, it is quite competitive, more competitive than the first one. And the second part of the question is that there is no follow-up grant. Now, there are possibilities of follow-up grant, automatic follow-up grants, if your project is graded excellent. So once you complete a research projects, your projects are being assessed by the reviewers who suggest us how good was your performance, what was your promises, what did you deliver. And if those things are found in an excellent grade, 1 year follow-up grant is possible in several of ANRF scheme, Indo-French scheme, Indo-German schemes. But it's not automatic for rest of them. So rest of them need to prove themselves time and again. Each time they submit a proposal, they need to complete. Thank you.
And there is also a question from Anirban. So he's asking, is there any fellowship on DBT RF fellowship results? I think that
Oh,
is Ramalinga Swami.
I'm so sorry. I'm not following with
Yeah.
the results that much. I can't comment, but they can talk to the HR section in Department of Biotechnology who can tell them about the updates.
And Professor, everybody is thanking you of your updates for the Twitter. So thank you so much on the updates which you
Thank you.
help us. And yes, so I have a question over here. So for my question is what type, so I think what type of funding instruments, co-funding, like matched grants, like therapeutic calls or endowment funds are the most effective for India global joint R&D?
Well, India has got agreement with about 80 countries. So we are offering bilateral research grants between Indian researchers and overseas partners. Now, you need to respond to respective calls as and when they come. But my suggestion normally is to the researchers, please don't wait for the call. Once you have identified the potential collaborator, go to the website of concerned agency. It could be DST, it could be DBT, ICMR, whatever it is, and look for the dimension of the program and then discuss with your potential partner how best you can define your research projects. So, because when the call comes, it will be only couple of months at the most when you could submit it. But otherwise, you could take your time and develop your things. Besides bilateral program, India is having several bilateral agreements, multilateral arrangements. Now, these multilateral arrangements are essentially two types. One based on political platforms like BRICS, ASEAN, those kind of things, or on thematic like International Solar Alliance, mission innovations, AIDS vaccine initiatives. So it all depends how we would like to go, and you could participate in one of those programs also. But obviously, you need partner from more than two countries in such engagements.
Thank you, Professor. I think we have a question here for Dr. So the question is from Kurukshendra Pandey. So he's asking, are there any fellowship or schemes available for working professionals who wish to pursue collaborative research or short-term 6 months fellowship while continue their job? I think,
I'm not
yes,
sure at what level they are talking. Are they talking at doctoral level or postdoctoral level?
yes. So is the can we have to be more. So anybody typing in the question, so please try to
No, no.
like put in which
Okay,
is
so the
okay. So
fellow is
he's
having
asking about
doctorate.
doctoral level.
Yeah, so there are support available. I think several of Indian organizations encourages part-time PhD, where fellow could be attached to industries and could also go for PhD. And we are also encouraging our students, full-time student to go for industrial exposure while they are doing PhD. So both sides are available, and fellow need to look at various options, especially AICT portal for internship and research engagement and industrial exposure could help in finding a appropriate partner. Because if you go to this AICT portal, you will find hundreds of company. You need to select your own particular subject domain and then look for companies and options available. That is a wild search. But then if your institution could develop a tie-up with a particular group of industries, because they are also working in a particular domain and they could tie up, that would help students in a much easier access to the industry.
Thank you, Professor. So there is another question which both of our speaker can answer. Like, is there any split PhD grant for the clinician facility working in India in Indian medical institutes? That because they are only about to leave for 2 years, so they want to see ask if there is in any fellowship accommodating Indian clinical facility having MD, MS, or MDS degree and not the PhD?
Yeah, one of them is Commonwealth Spirit Grant, which is currently open by the name Queen Elizabeth Grant and Queen Elizabeth Commonwealth Grant. And there they could split some part in India, some part in UK they could do. Samrat, you would like to add something?
Um, well, under the EU, there are not such kind of split grants. If you apply for a PhD under the EU programs, you have to locate to Europe for the full time of the program. There are countries like France and Germany, as Dr. Varshney mentioned, who have like short-term grants for PhD students, candidates to go to Germany or France. That is possible. So, and there are also like Hungary has a program also short-term. So there's a possibility to visit, a European host institution for a few months as part of the PhD in India. But for the EU, you have to come to Europe and do the entire thing in Europe. Also, I wanted to say just in the previous question about like professionals who are working in the industry and would like to, do a research training and do a PhD or postdoc even, that's very much encouraged by the EU, by the Marie Curie postdoctoral and doctoral fellowships. We have even industrial doctorates, which are really looking for working and training in with the industry, having a supervisor in the industrial sector, and same goes that the doctoral training networks and the postdoc, they really encourage to work, do your career with the industry. So there's a strong focus on intersectoral, interdisciplinary collaboration with the industrial sector. So that's very appealing if you are working already in the industry, but you're looking to get a PhD or postdoctoral degree in Europe.
Thank you, Dr. Samrat. We have also a question for you. Like, does URSS support Schengen visa application for principal investigators and PhD students?
So what we do is we don't facilitate, but we can help to navigate you to the right place. Like if you are applying for a research visa or student visa, we can give you some insights, and also we can connect you to our Euraxis service centers in Europe, who actually are very well equipped to help incoming researchers with those kind of questions, be it visa, be it about insurance, be it about housing, bringing spouse families along. So we have, like in each European country, we have several Euraxis centers who are ready to help with visa as well. But of course, we cannot influence the visa decision, or we cannot expedite the visa process. We know that there's many countries like Germany, UK, there's a long waiting list going on. Indian student applications are rising, are skyrocketing right now. There's a huge backlog. So we cannot help in that, but we can help you to, connect you with the right people who might be able to give you more insights about the visa process and what kind of documentations are required and what kind of support is needed.
Yeah, that was a good explanation. Thank you, Dr. Samrat. So Dr. Sanjeev, for you, so does consortium-based ANRF application increases the chance of success? If you could kindly elaborate on this.
Actually, I must say that most of the open-ended schemes are highly competitive, and success rate currently in India is less than 10%. So this is quite alarming, and this is primarily because that number of academic institutions in last 10 years, both in government sector and private sector, have increased like anything. Pro rata research funding have not increased. So we have got large number of base researchers, but research funding has not grown up accordingly. So these remain competitive. On the other hand, there are several programs which are run by each department, whether it is DST, ICMR, DBT, ICR, ICSSR, where they have identified the areas where government would like you to work on. Now, if you could reorient your research based on government priorities, that would soothe a bit. I'll not say they are non-competitive, they are competitive, but as compared to open-ended scheme, success rate is quite high. And for example, there is a program on CCUS, carbon sequestrations. Now, if you apply to that program, if you're working in that area, you could success rate is 25%, and in open-ended less than 10%. So we have identified several areas like hydrogen fuel. We are talking these days. We are talking about quantum. We are talking about, so there are a lot of thematic programs. So I would recommend our researchers to look at those programs where government would like you to work on. Now, if you could reorient yourself, then chances of success are relatively better.
Thank you, Professor. There is one more question to you. Like, apart from like Ramanujan and Ramalingaswamy's Re-entry Fellowship, are there any other grants or programs that support Indian researchers returning to India to establish their own lab?
See, these days there are a lot of new IIT which are looking for quality faculty. So if you are looking for a job or on a regular basis, I think these newer IITs, newer ICERs, besides a lot of private organizations, because some people would like to work close to their hometown. So there are a lot of opportunity which are available through direct employment. Fellowship, these two are there, and we do realize that numbers are not adequate, and we are trying to increase the number so that we could attract more. But we don't want to repeat something what our neighbor did and got blamed. So we would like to keep it at a respectable level so that our people could come back. Of course, all overseas PDF are eligible to participate in Indian schemes like Inspire Faculty Awards, Early Career Research Grants, which are also open to them. But they need to compete with local Indians, resident Indians.
Thank you, sir. So, Chandi, would you like to ask some more questions which were popping in the chat and sections?
Thank you, Paramita. I can take some questions. So there is a question for Professor Dr. Samrat. It is from Prabhat Chaudhary. He asked about, does your access offer PDF to Indian medical faculties who have only master's degrees? As in India, PhD is not mandatory for faculty in medical institutes. Can you work to relax the PhD requirement for clinical faculty of Indian medical institution if they want to enhance their skills as a PDF?
Well, it's possible to apply for fellowships under the EU, being having a medical background. Regarding the PD postdoctoral fellowship, I would have to check that because we don't have often people from the medical sector who want to apply for a postdoctoral position. But if you send me an email, Mr. Prabhat, on india@uraxis.net, I'll just share the email, and I would be glad to look into this and provide you a correct answer for that. Yeah. So you can just send me a message after today's session, and then I'll probably on Monday you will receive a reply.
Thank you for such quick.
I have a request. If there are some quick question for me, because I have another engagement. I would like to leave. So if there's something for me, I would just take it, and then I would like to thank you.
Yes, thank you. We are just looking at that and trying to direct more questions which are for you, so it goes directly. I have a question. Maybe I can take that.
Okay. So friends, thank you very much for listening me and giving me your questions. And if there are some more questions for me, please pass it on to Sairway, and they would be happy to bring it back to you. I have given you my contact details. I'm sorry, I have another engagement, so I have to leave you in between. My apologies for that. Have a wonderful evening, a wonderful day wherever you are. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Vashni, for your time and wonderful talk.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, bye.
Have a good evening.
So I see a question for Dr. Samrat. So this is regarding the new rule of, age relaxation for the ERC starter grant after, the number of years after PhD. Can you please elaborate on that and when it's actually going to be, in action?
So there has been an announcement by the ERC that they will most likely change the eligibility rules for for the ERC grants. So earlier it has been up to now, it has been for the starting grants, you would have to have 2 years after completion of your PhD, you were eligible to apply. It will be most likely, it's not official yet, it will be now kind of scrapped, and you can immediately after your PhD apply for ERC, which of course then competes with the Marie Curie, of course, postdoctoral fellowship grant. But that's one thing. It's not official yet. Most likely, before Christmas, the work program will be launched, Horizon Europe, and also the ERC work program, and then it will be, set like in stone. So there will be also for the consolidator grants, as I have, seen, there will be also changes. It will be not 5 years after, not 7 years after your PhD. So it means that the deadlines are moving a little forward. So it means that young researchers can already apply for ERC grants if they have completed their PhD.
Yeah, and also
So
related to that,
we
I
have to
think,
wait for the official. Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
yeah. So it's actually,
go ahead.
it's the changes in rule regarding number of years after PhD application that, makes you still eligible for ERC starting grants. There's also a change in this rule. So earlier there were only,
Yeah.
with 5 to 8 years, but now the number of years have been, increased now since you
No,
did
so
your
the things.
PhD.
Yeah, for the ERC starting grant, it was 2 years after your PhD only you can apply. Now, what will happen most likely is that you can apply immediately after your PhD. You don't have to wait for 2 years. You can go straight for the starting grant if you wish after your PhD. That's
Okay,
going to be
but
the
the way,
change.
but the way I understood was, earlier you could start, after 2 years. So if you are beyond 2 years, you cannot apply, you are no more eligible. But I was under the impression that now you can apply even after 5 or 8 years.
No. So
Not just
earlier it
PhD,
was
but
this.
also after you postdoc.
No, the post. No, so there are two different. One is the MSCA postdoc, and one is the ERC grants. So the ERC grants had this eligibility criteria that for starting grants was 2 to 7 years, right? And then was the consolidator grants, and then was the advanced grants. So now this will be changed to that for the starting grant, you can apply immediately after your PhD. You don't have to wait 2 years, right? But you have so that's still everything what I'm saying right now is not fixed yet, but it looks like it will have those changes. So just wait a few more days, probably before Christmas. We will announce it anyway on our website, all the changes. So we'll have a clarity on that.
Thank you so much
Okay.
for clarifying, because there was actually a confusion regarding this. So thank you so much for clarifying.
Yeah.
There's one more question for you, Dr. Samrat. Can startups from India also join ERC grants? Is there a scheme set like that?
As a,
And
mhm.
and are
Yeah.
UK researchers still able to apply after exiting the EU?
Yes. Yeah. So the first thing is that startups can apply, like an individual can apply. So the ERC grants are for individuals. The MSCA grants are, most of them are for individuals, but they're also for institutions. So, for instance, for the doctoral training, for the doctoral networks, a startup can be part of the consortium. For the staff exchange under the MSCA, the Marie Curie startup can be part of it. Under Pillar 2, which are like, these 6 clusters, which are international collaborative actions, there also startups can be part of a consortium. For the postdoctoral and the ERC fellowships, it has to be an individual scientist, a researcher, a person who applies.
Thank you. Chandni, would you
And
like
for
to?
the UK, yeah, just to the UK has joined since beginning of this year, is fully part of the Horizon Europe program. So means researchers from the UK can apply to Horizon Europe programs. Indian researchers can collaborate with UK partners and apply for calls for projects. Indian researchers can choose UK institutions as their host institute for the doctoral and postdoctoral fellowship. So the UK is completely, again, part of the Horizon Europe program since 2020, beginning of the year. Yeah.
Great. So this is a very great news for the people who are in the UK. Thanks.
Exactly. Yeah.
Chandni, are there more questions that you would like to take up?
I have one question here, a follow-up on this question. So the Horizon Europe, was it Pillar 1, where you also mentioned about the research infrastructure grants? So is it only valid
Yeah.
for the EU or the participating country, or also when you're part of a consortia, you can also add research infrastructure in it?
Yeah, so it's mainly for the European partners, the European of the consortium. However, if there is exceptional funding available for we call it non-associated partner, means that countries and institutions which are not part of the program and not receive automatically funding, then if there is exceptional funding, it's possible, or if there is kind of some specific provision in the call which would say that the Indian entities are eligible to receive fundings also for research infrastructures. But it is primarily for European partners and European members to receive that kind of amounts for their infrastructure, for their labs and so forth.
Okay. I have one more question from Rangesh Kannan, sorry. What are the funding schemes currently supporting blue carbon and coastal ecosystem research, specifically involving India EU or India US collaboration? Are you aware of this?
Okay, so when there are calls under the Horizon Europe Work Program, if you just type Horizon Europe Work Program 25, most of the calls are closed, but wait for a few more days, then we have the Horizon Europe Work Program 26, 27. There will be calls in those areas for sure. Now it's up to the Indian government if they want to co-fund certain calls, which might be on carbon and also on the mangroves. So that's something which the EU will decide and then announce. As for now, there are no open calls which are targeting those subjects at the moment. But the new round of calls is going to open early next year. And there will be a second phase in October, and it will be 2 years work program. So there might be high chances of calls on which will tackle those issues as well.
Okay. I have another question, maybe a twisted one. So with the Moscow staff exchange program, it's mostly like people from other countries, they come to EU and the exchange program. Do you have seen any time other way around that people who are working, Indians who are working in Europe, and they want to spend like the Webhub program, but in reverse using the Moscow exchange program,
Yeah.
because maybe they are working here full time
Yeah.
and they want to work. Is that a possibility, or is somebody have ever tried that?
It is. It is. So two-way mobility is on high agenda. For India and the EU for their R&I partnership. It's part of the roadmap and the partnership agreement that there should be much more a two-way traffic, not only one way from India to Europe. Now the thing is that for Europeans to come to India, it's possible through the staff exchange program, for instance. So if an Indian institution joins the MSCA staff exchange, and then European can come to the Indian institution, and their travel and their living cost is all funded by the EU, so there are no costs involved for the Indian side. Now, if Indian researchers should go under staff exchanges to Europe, they have to self-fund it, other institutions to fund it. Another way is the global fellowship. So that's a possibility for Indian institutions to invite a European researcher to come and to spend 2 years at their institution under the global MSc fellowship. Here again, all the costs are covered by the European Commission. The only thing is that the fellowship stays with the European institution, and not the Indian partner just becomes, sorry, not just, the Indian partner is then the host institution for that period, but all the kind of financial aspects stay with the home institution.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Samrat, for his answer.
Thank you.
Amrita, do you have more questions there?
Yeah, I actually see a question from Vimala Sridurai. She's saying, to you to comment on regarding the upper limit for the eligibility for ERC starting grants, the upper limit. I know you said that, instead of 2 years after PhD, you can start applying immediately, but what is the upper limit, and is this also going to change or increase?
That will change, yeah. I think it will be up to 5 years. If I remember the text correctly, it will be like after completing your PhD up to 5 years, and then from 5 years up to 10 years for the next grant, which is the consolidator grant. So that's what I remember now on top of my head. However, as I said, just we have to wait a few more days until the work program is officially publicly available, and then everything will be black and white. But that's what I remember. It's 0 to 5 years for starting grants, and then 5 to 10 for the consolidator grant.
Okay, and so there's one, burning question, especially in the current scenario with, US mass exodus. So a lot of people from the US are, either leaving back, Indians leaving back to, India or coming to Europe.
Yeah.
Is, Euraxis coming up with new schemes or fellowship opportunities for, to accommodate these people?
Yeah. Yeah, there is actually in May this year, the European Commission has launched a new initiative called Choose Europe for Science, which is open to all researchers across the world, but of course has also an emphasis on European diaspora in the US, but also scientists in the US who would like to come to Europe to continue their research career. So the call was now there's an extra 500 million euros which was put in the pot, and universities could apply now for receiving those funds to attract talents across the globe, but also from the US and North America to come to Europe. So this is a new initiative which is very strongly promoted. We will hear much more next year. It has been launched in May. And there was, as I said, a call for universities, European universities, to apply for funds, extra funds, to help researchers to locate to Europe, to set up their lab, to continue their research here. So it's called Choose Europe for Science. So if you just put it in your search engine, you will see all the information. And so there is a strong, development happening. It is, of course, there's a political background to it, but there's also making Europe a world-class attractive destinations for top talents and researchers who would like to either start their career, restart, or continue their career in Europe.
And so as a follow-up, so are these new schemes, because I think it definitely will benefit people who are, looking to move out from the US, but then will it also somehow help if someone wants to move from UK to India, but have a collaboration, research project with an institute in Europe?
Yeah. So if you if you want to be based in India and still collaborate with Europe, there are possibilities. For instance, with the ERC grants, as I mentioned, it's a possibility to stay in your institution, keep the affiliation, and just conduct 50% of the work in Europe. Other than that, of course, there's the Synergy grant, for instance, under the ERC, where 2 to 4 PIs can together create a project and receive up to 10 million euro funding, where one of the PIs can be based outside of Europe, can be in India. Indian researchers can, for short term, join ERC projects, so those kind of opportunities are there. We're also looking to strengthen more the staff exchange program with co-funding. Now we have one with CSIR, but we're hoping also that other Indian funding agencies would be willing to support that, so that Indian researchers have the possibility to collaborate with their partners while still being affiliated with their home institution, and not have to leave their home institution and move to Europe, to pursue their career, rather than
Okay, and maybe one last question from my, sorry,
Yeah.
thank you. And so
Yeah.
one last question maybe from my side. Is Euraxis also planning something together with ANRF? Because ANRF has now come up with, this umbrella funding, organizations like NIH.
Yeah.
And if, in future
Yes,
we will
yeah.
see Euraxis and NRF working together for the benefit of especially Indian diaspora.
Yeah, so there is, Euraxis is more working on the ground with the researchers, the research community, whereas my colleagues at the EU embassy, they are more working on the policy and the kind of collaborative aspect and the co-funding aspect with the Indian ministries. So there is, of course, a strong, desire to strengthen, the collaborations, the possibilities with ANRF and other similar funding bodies. At the same time, there is also an invitation, when the president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, was in January in India. She came with the entire cabinet. That was a huge statement. And our Director General, our Commissioner for Research and Innovation, has actually extended the invitation for India to even consider joining the Horizon Europe program. So there are a lot of developments happening behind the scene. And we have the EU-India summit coming up in January. So there will be also one of the working groups will be on the R&I cooperation. So probably we will hear some exciting news, end of January, beginning of February. So there could be, there are more things right now cooking. So we will see what kind of dishes will be presented next year. But I'm sure there will be much more happening as India is becoming a very important strategic partner in R&I for Europe.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Samrat, for explaining everything so well. And yeah, one of the requests from audience is, is there any, central resource or website where they can look for all the information in one place? If you know any, such links.
Yeah. Just go to Access India. Just type in Access India, and then you will get everything. It's a one stop shop for all EU related funding opportunities and all EU India related events, news, policies, and as I said, we do a series of webinars, workshops, events throughout the year. We do brokerage, networking, matchmaking events between European and Indian partners, so to form like consortium. So we're hoping that there will be several calls next year, which will be co-funded by the Indian side. So we will have a lot of outreach events and activities. Yeah.
Okay, someone is saying India joining Horizon Europe will be huge. So we really look forward to it. And Paramita, Chandni, if there are no more questions, sorry, please go ahead.
I think that the sky is the limit right now when it comes to India collaboration in R&I. So who knows? This is of course happening on a higher political level, but India is very much strengthening its internationalization of R&I, its international cooperation. So let's see what next year brings.
Okay, fingers crossed.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Samrat. So Paramita and Chandni, if you have more questions, you can ask. Otherwise, we will wrap up the webinar.
No more questions from my side.
And no more questions from my side also.
There are no questions?
Okay.
Okay. Then I would just like to, request Paramita to tell us about the future events of SciROI happening this year. And yeah, please, I will just do the screen share and then Paramita, please go ahead.
So SciROI, in collaboration with CCamp, is organizing a webinar on the deep tech startup in India scheduled for 13 December coming Saturday, where you can learn how India's deep tech and biotech startup ecosystem is rapidly expanding and hear inspiring stories from the founders navigating the journey from research to startups. And registrations are already open, so you can sign up and reserve your spot for the webinar.
Okay, so with this, we come to the end of this webinar. And on behalf of SciROI and my co-moderators, Paramita and Chandni, I would like to thank the speakers for such wonderful presentations and insightful discussion during the Q&A. And I also thank all our audience for attending this webinar. Just a quick reminder that you can also watch this webinar later on SciROI's YouTube channel. And if you wish, you can share it with your colleagues and friends. We hope that this webinar helped you gain insights into the India global funding landscape and international scientific cooperation, and also learn about various fellowship opportunities and useful resources needed for the next steps in your career development journey. With this, I would like to thank everybody once again. And yeah, thank you so much for your time, Dr. Samrat. It was really nice.
Thank you so much.
I think it arises a lot of hope in us. and hopefully things will get even better from here.
Thank you
Okay.
so much. Have a nice evening and a nice day and a good weekend.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye. Good night.